everyone. Today I have another amazing client here to share his story with you guys. And I personally have felt like so inspired by his journey over the past couple of months. And I think it's always better to let him do the talking, for him to share his experience firsthand, so you can experience it firsthand directly from him as well. So I'm just so glad that he's able to make it today. So Carlos, tell us about you. Tell us a little bit about you.
Hi, Anita. Hi, everyone. I'm Carlos. I came to Melbourne 5 years ago, and before that, I was in Hong Kong. So I have been in the banking industry for almost 2 decades, actually more than two decades.
Wow.
So when I was in Hong Kong, so I was doing business analyst and project management job, which mainly based in Cantonese and Mandarin as well. So there were occasions that I need to use English because Hong Kong was quite an international city, and there are always foreigner came to office for meetings and things like that. So I got a little bit chance to practice my English and use English in my workspace. But the actual environment in Hong Kong is still mainly in Cantonese and now a bit more in Mandarin. So I didn't have much chance to practice well my English. And the bad thing was that I wasn't learning it quite well. I think that's what I think. Wasn't learning it quite well during my high school for my English subjects.
I remember you telling me this before. Yeah.
That's right. I remember in some kind of a VCE equivalent VCE exam back in Hong Kong. It was called DSE. So I just spent a few days before the English exam to revision everything. So you can imagine my English standard. What was it up to? So when I come to Australia a few years ago, then everything has to be in English. So I was always struggling about whether I'm using the right words, and using the right grammar, right pattern to communicate with the foreigners. And
it kind of made you overthink a lot of times when you spoke to other people. Right.
That's right. Definitely. Yeah. Because communication is actually that there will never be an occasion that, okay, Carlos, you stop for 10 seconds and let you think and let you say, and then I come back to you. No, it's actually one after the other. So
exactly. Conversations happen in real time. Yeah. So which is why it's such an important skill to have, to know how to formulate your responses on the spot. Yeah. So Carlos, thank you so much for sharing that with us, first of all. So would you say that was one of the biggest pain points that you were experiencing when you came here and you started working here? Yeah. So tell us a little bit more about what your professional life was like your interactions with your colleagues.
Yeah, because I was lucky to get back to the banking industry in Australia. And, in office, I need to engage in meetings. Some of the meetings, I am actually the chair. So I have to lead the conversations, lead the meeting, and coordinate with the meeting participants. So it is definitely a challenge because English is not my native language, my mother tongue. So I was, as I said, I was struggling whether I was using the right words, right grammar to conduct my meeting in English. At the same time, understanding others, what others say and response in the right way was also a challenge. So in the workspace, they usually speak fast for native English speaker, as you know. So I was trying to understand every single word of them. So which is a really pain point for me. So you can imagine that without the right language or without the right language skills, it's quite hard for one to work in the
Yeah,
workspace.
that's right. Yeah. I'm so glad that you mentioned that. And then I think like throughout the program, you also discovered it was actually not just about our language skills, right? There were other things that were actually a lot more important that would contribute to our overall success as a non-native English speaker, which I would definitely love for you to talk a little bit more about it in a minute. And yeah, so I want to share this with everyone as well, because I do remember the very, very first time that you came to me, as we spoke about this before. And one of the words that really, really stood out, because during the consultation call, and then you were describing your the personal experience, the situation that you were going through at work. And then I remember you used this one word to describe how you were feeling back then. And then you said to me, it just felt very, very painful. And then that was really the moment that made me realize I really, really want to help him out, because I can see there's definitely a better way to go about it. And not just that, it's also because I personally experienced that before. Like when he was telling me about like his interactions with his colleagues in meetings, and I feel like that was exactly me. That was really, really, really me a couple of years ago. It was really, really painful for me as well. Yeah, so like Carlos, share a little bit more with everyone. So meetings, was that like the biggest pain point for you, or were there other maybe not spoken interactions at work that made you feel like, oh, something really has to change?
That's right. That was really painful. You can imagine in a 45 minutes meeting, and I was just able to say a few words, and but I do have something in my mind that about my idea, my view, but it was just quite hard for me to express myself. So, you know, in Australia, people are really vocal. So so they are really willing to express themselves, no matter they have porn or not.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
you can imagine in a 45 minutes meeting. So if I say nothing, then people just judge me, not because of my language, but because Carlos just have no contribution at all. So that was a really painful time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing so openly about this with everyone, because that's what a lot of people are going through. And as I really, really thank you for having the courage to open up and share. I'm sure that would really inspire more people to open up as well, because that's really one of the biggest pain points I personally experienced. And I can just remember, because we used to have one big team meeting with the whole English department back at the school every Wednesday. And then that Wednesday afternoon, that was like so anxiety inducing. Like I can't even begin to tell you like how painful it was just for me to sit in that meeting, and everyone was like so engaged in the meeting, and I was like so busy formulating my own responses. And then like every single time I always left the meeting just feeling so bad about myself. So that's why when you were sharing your experience with me, and I was like, oh, this really resonates so deeply with me. So would you say that was the one catalyst that finally kind of like pushed you to take action to do something about it?
Yes, definitely. And also, there was a colleague in my team. She obviously has no better English level than me, but she was quite popular, not because of her language, but because of her way to work, her confidence about her existence in the workspace. So that inspired me. Is it really that important to have a perfect or beautiful English in a workspace? Are there actually other elements that can contribute to a easier and less painful experience in the workspace? That's why I seek for help. Yep.
I see. So that's really when you started to explore maybe a different reality and more like other possibilities for you. Yeah, and I'm actually quite curious to know. I'm just like thinking of this on the spot. So, like Carlos, when you were looking for help, like for example on the internet or other places, and then when you first discovered me, and then also obviously you joined the Facebook group as well, and then you started to explore the resources in there. And I'm curious to know, was there anything that kind of held you back when you first came to me? Like that might have made you think, oh, I'm not sure if this is going to work for me because she's telling me not to speak perfect English when that was kind of something that I wanted.
I think I have been looking around in the internet for resources that may help. And at the beginning, I was focused on uplifting my language skills, vocabulary, grammar, and common way of communications. But then I found it doesn't seem to work really well because it's kind of model, but the model may not be fitting well in the practical situation in the workspace. So I was struggling a bit, and then I noticed your Facebook, and I can see from your face that you are really confident and in leading the students and communicating in English. And at the same time, you are not a native English speaker. So why not me? So that's why it just like a spark. And then I want to join the conversation and discuss with you. And then we have the first masterclass.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So I honestly love what you said just now. Why not me? Because it can be you, it can be other people, it can be any of us. That's possible for every single one of us if we're committed to doing the work.
That's right.
And if we're committed to, if we have that willingness to explore a different reality, to explore different possibilities, and which is exactly what you have done. So share with us now, ever since you started to kind of like say to yourself, okay, I'm going to try something different, then share with us, like, what are some of the changes that you put in place or some of the things that you discover over the past couple of months of us working together? Maybe you realize there were certain problems that existed before, but you just didn't realize those were the problems that needed to be fixed. So share with us. Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the most important discoveries is that English is a language and it's also a tool for communication. I don't have to have a perfect English, a perfect tool in order to communicate well with others. So my mother tongue is Cantonese, and I have also equipped with Mandarin as well. So probably English is my third language, and every language is actually a resource for me. The fact is, the first job when I landed in Australia, it was not because of my English, but because of my Chinese. So, but they were looking for someone who can speak a bit of English and they speak good Chinese and to communicate with the Chinese counterparties. That's why. That inspires me. English is actually a tool, as long as it's sufficient, good enough to do communication and understand each other. That should be good.
That's right. And then that freed you up. That freed you up from things that maybe aren't as, well, we wouldn't say not as important, but it really, really gives you that mental space to focus on other things that may help you see the results even faster. So what did you end up focusing on instead during the time that we were working together?
My focus during our course is mainly on the first part is about mental skills, how to, just like what you say, how to free up the resource to focus on the right track. And also we did mention about some language skills that as an essential building blocks for communications, because after all, it's all about English. So I have to have some fundamental basic stuff in order to communicate, to use the board to communicate.
And you do have the fundamental skills, right? So the rest of it, it's more about how to refine what you have already got, how to refine and enhance your language skills. That's right. And then that mental skill. So the mindsets, right? The mindset work. I have to say, usually it sounds easy, but it's usually the hardest work, because it's
That's
always
right.
much easier for us to just say to ourselves, oh, okay, I'll just learn another couple of words and then learn another grammar rule, and then hopefully my English will improve, my confidence will improve, and I'll be able to connect with native English speakers better. But then
That's
usually
right.
it's the mindset that's usually the missing link for a lot of us.
That's why I think the mindset change is actually the tough part for
Mm,
most of the English, non-native English learner.
yeah.
Because we have to change our mindset from a local Chinese mindset to an English mindset. So apart from that, we have to break the limits which imposed
Mm,
by ourselves.
that's right.
Yeah.
That's
So
right.
the mindset change is usually the hardest part.
Yeah. But once that's done, it's so rewarding, isn't it? Because
Yep,
like Carlos
definitely.
shared with us, because during the time of us working together,
Mm.
there was like some good news from you. So share with us, like, what were some of the rewarding results that you got to enjoy as a result of focusing on other things like mindset, and then also conversational skills and communication skills? Share with us.
The best result is the enjoyment of using English to communicate. And I did get a chance to interview with another bank. That
Mm,
during the interview process, I found myself really enjoying the conversations with the interviewer. Uh, I treated myself not being in the interview, but just communicating with what I see, what I think, what is Carlos doing, yep, etc., etc. So I
yeah,
did really enjoy the conversations with in the interview, and
that's right.
eventually I got a job. Yep.
That's right. Eventually you got a job. I know, like, honestly, that day you sent me that message and I was like, oh my goodness, I'm so blown away. I'm like so happy for you when I saw the message, because I can really, really see the difference. Like, once we feel like we can finally step into our power as a non-native English speaker. Because Carlos, like you mentioned before, sometimes a lot of the limitations are self-imposed. I love and what you agree with what you say just now. And once you take away those self-imposed limitations,
Mm.
you realize you've actually got so much potential.
Exactly, exactly. The interview was talking about originally planned as 45 minutes, but eventually it went for one and a half hour.
Oh my goodness.
So
Yeah.
almost after an hour, I know the job is mine. So because
Yeah.
the free communication giving me a very strong power, is kind of magic to express myself at the same time to communicate between the interviewer and me. So it was a really good one. Yep.
Nice. That's usually a pretty good indicator, right? If for whatever reason they decide to extend the conversation, the interview, usually it's a good sign.
Yep, that's right.
Yeah, I love it. So, Carlos, like, now share with us, how do you feel about your future now as a non-native English speaking professional who's so much more confident in what he has to offer, and also his identity and his language skills? How are you going to better utilize everything that you already know? Where do you think this is going to take you?
I think I will continue to enjoy using English because I wasn't pay attention to this part, because enjoying in English will make me happy of using it, and then it will take me to another level.
Yeah.
So I think I will continue and make myself more enjoyable in communicating with English.
Yeah.
And then the next part will be I think I still need to uplift my English language capability. So, but it will be doing alongside enjoying the English.
That's
And
right.
then I enjoy more, I learn more, I learn more, I enjoy more.
That's right. That's right. That's so important that we go about enhancing our language skills from more of a self-loving place, right? Rather than coming from a place of lack, just feel like, oh, my English is not good enough, which is why I have to do more. But then now you have completely shifted your mindset, and then also how you feel about English. And I suppose your relationship with your English as well, which is, I think it's so important. And it's like such a fundamental piece to our overall success as a non-native English speaker. Yeah.
Definitely.
I love it. So the final question I have for you is, I would love for you to share, is there anything that you would like to say to someone who also wants to become their most empowered and then also confident version of themselves, but then they're just kind of like still sitting on the fence and then they feel a little bit scared of maybe stepping out of their comfort zone? Any like final advice?
My advice is to look for the right direction, right help. Just like what I did, I try to subscribe different YouTube channels and learn English through the YouTube channels. But then eventually I found out no matter how hard I worked, it seems that it's not the right direction in the daily communications. So that's why we have to find the right focus, the right resource in getting what we decided to be done. So that's why I got Anita's help about my mindset change and uplifting my language skills, and also giving me hints about the building blocks for the daily communications and some strategy of doing the communications.
Yeah, that was so beautifully said. And thank you so much for sharing that with us. And I honestly just feel so honored to be able to be on this journey with you. And then I feel very excited for you about what's lying ahead. I'm pretty sure you're going to like achieve many more amazing things. And yeah, I feel very excited for you. So Carlos, thank you so much for showing up so fully for yourself. Thank you very much, Carlos, and thank you very much, everyone. And we will definitely see you again soon. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Anita. Thank you. Bye.